Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hello, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native. And this is the Effortless English Show, the show that teaches you to speak English powerfully. And I am finally back after a long break. Now, some of you know that what I was doing during my break was walking the Camino de Santiago. What is the Camino de Santiago? Well, it's a walking path in northern Spain. But it's more than just a walking path. It's actually an old pilgrimage. Now, a pilgrimage is a spiritual or religious trip or journey. For example, Muslims have a pilgrimage to Mecca, right? They're not just going to Mecca for tourism. It has a deeper meaning. So that's what a pilgrimage is. In India, Hindus have pilgrimages. Buddhists have pilgrimages. Well, this was an old Christian pilgrimage, especially about 1,000 years ago or so. People used to walk along northern Spain because at the end point of the walk, the end of the Camino de Santiago, there's a big church, and inside that church are the bones, the body of Saint James. I'm not Catholic, but I just did it as still as a deeper journey, an opportunity to walk across Spain as a kind of walking meditation. I went with my good friend Joe from Learn Real English, so it was also a chance to travel with him and have an experience with him. So I thought in this show I'm going to do something a little different. Normally I talk about learning English, but many people have asked me about my trip, so I thought I would share some of the videos that I took during my trip. Because during the trip I took a few videos. Every several days I would take a video and talk to the camera and talk about what was happening. So this is an opportunity for me to share some of my experiences in Spain just about a month ago. Let's start with the first video. The first video comes from France. We actually started in a little town in France, just over the Pyrenees Mountains. It's just like 6 seconds long. It just shows me the day we began. It's Joe and I starting our Camino. Here it is. We're beginning the Camino. Okay, well that's it. We're beginning the Camino. But you can see this is a little town called Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly in French. But it's this little town, and it's one of the most traditional starting points for the Camino de Santiago. And this is just an old little town, and this is where we started. And as you see, this was the morning we started. Now, the next video is several days later. I can't remember, it was day 4 maybe of our pilgrimage. And it's a famous point on the Camino. So in the Camino, you walk through these paths. First we went up and over the Pyrenees Mountains, which was a beautiful walk that first day. Then we went to the town of Pamplona. And then finally, we reached this point called the Alta de Perdón. And it has a nice sculpture. It's on top of this hill. And if you ever see the movie The Way, there's a movie called The Way with Martin Sheen. It's about the Camino de Santiago. So if this is interesting to you, I recommend rent or buy The Way. And you can use my movie technique using that movie, The Way. And my movie technique is described in my book if you don't know what the movie technique is. All right, so this is the famous point along the Camino. I'll show you the video now. Hello, it's day 4 of the Camino. We are at the Alto de Padrón, I believe it's called, or Perdón, Alto de Perdón, which is a big top of a big hill. Very windy up here. There are wind turbines, you can see.
We're feeling really strong. We had a nice rest day in Pamplona, and we are at the halfway point for today, onward to Puente de Reina, which is our next stop. And you can see behind us the statues, the kind of a sculpture, iron sculpture of pilgrims, walking into the wind, which is a famous little kind of waymark or landscape mark on the Camino. We're doing well, having a great time.
So as you can see, that landscape was very beautiful. These green hills. And for most of the Camino, we're walking through the countryside. At the beginning, we walked over the mountains. For most of it, we were walking through hills or plains, flat area. And then every 2 or 3 hours, we would walk through a small little town, a little Spanish town. But these were most of them were beautiful towns with the old stone buildings, very old, 500 years old, 1,000 years old, very, very old stone buildings from the Middle Ages and beyond, and more recently too. But it was one of my favorite parts was, number one, being out in nature and walking around every day, and then also going through these beautiful old stone towns in Spain. It was great. Now, in a journey like this journey took 32 days. We walked for 32 days. And just as in life, just as when you are learning English, many times you begin and everything feels great and you're excited, right? Maybe you just started effortless English lessons, you're very excited. Or you're doing anything that's new. And it's very easy to be excited at the beginning. But what always happens for anything that's a little bit difficult, a little bit long, anything challenging, there are going to be some bad days. There are going to be some tough days. And, of course, every day on the Camino was not easy. I also had some difficult days. And the next day, in the next video, I describe that.
So it's early morning, maybe 6:30, and I'm up because I can't sleep. And I have to say, I've had the first miserable day and evening on the Camino. Yesterday walking was fine, no problem. Seemed fairly easy actually, physically. But then when we arrived in the town, I was feeling pretty good. And we arrived in this town, and the town is honestly just horrible. We walked through, I guess, what is basically a Spanish ghetto. So just a horrible neighborhood, lots of just teenage kids standing around, doing nothing, not even talking. It was kind of weird. They're zombies. And there's trash everywhere. There's trash all over here, even by the little riverside. Just overall kind of depressing. And that's sad because most of the towns have been really pretty and nice and interesting. So this one, not so much. Then we got here and all the accommodation was full because it's the 1st of May, May 1st. It's a holiday, so I guess lots of Spanish people are traveling. So we had a hard time finding a room. Finally found one. Then I woke up at 5 a.m. because Joe was snoring. He snores every night, and I usually can put in my iPod and kind of get back to sleep, but this time, even with the iPod on, I could still hear it. So anyway, pretty miserable evening and night. And we'll see what happens today. These days happen.
Okay. As you can see, I was not in a good mood when I made that video. I was tired. It was very early in the morning. I got no sleep that night. It was a tough day. This happens when you're learning English. You're going to have some tough days. You're going to have days where you feel like you can't speak at all. For a while you're excited and you feel like you're doing well and you're improving, and you are improving, but then you have some bad experience. Maybe you try talking to someone and you can't think of what to say, or you can't understand what people are saying, and then you feel depressed and, it's quite tough. Yeah, you're going to have those days. Now on the Camino, the thing is, because we have that big purpose, right? We have this, it's kind of a deep meaning. We're going to go all the way to Santiago. And I could feel that this was an old walking path, very old, and that thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, I don't know, maybe more than that, have walked this same path for over 1,000 years. And so in my mind, it was this great big purpose to get to Santiago, the end point. And so because I had that big purpose, I kept going. It was easy to keep going. I never had a thought to quit. Not one time did I think, I want to quit, I want to stop, even when I had a miserable day. I just got up in the morning and I felt bad, but of course I knew I was going to continue. And that's why with your English learning, you also need a bigger purpose. Because if you're just doing it for a test or a grade in school, if you don't have that bigger purpose, then it's very hard to keep going when you have the difficult days. If you don't have a big purpose, it's easy to quit. But if you have a big, inspiring purpose, something that excites you, something that is deeply meaningful for you, I don't know what that is for you. Maybe it's, to get a much better job using English. Maybe it's to travel the world and be able to speak English to people. Maybe it's to study in a university in the United States or Canada or England or something like that. I don't know what it is, but something that excites you and inspires you. That will keep you going. So when you have those bad days, and you will, you'll be able to keep going. You'll never have the thought of quitting. All right, let's go to the next video. Whew. Today we are walking from Santo Domingo to Belorado, two very small towns. And all day today we have a very strong headwind, meaning the wind is blowing directly into our face. We have to fight the wind as we walk. You can probably hear it. It's very strong, and during the day it's getting stronger and stronger. So even though today we only have, 22, 23 kilometers, 12, 13 miles, but it's a little difficult because of the wind. Can't hear anything, so it's difficult to talk to each other. On the other hand, it is cool, not so hot. The wind and the clouds are keeping things cool, so temperature feels nice, but just tough walking in this strong wind directly into it. That's our report from today. Onward to Belorado, Spain. All right, so on this part of the Camino, we were in the mountains and the hills for a while. Then we got to this very flat part for maybe a week, maybe a little longer than a week, actually. And the flat part is called the meseta, which means table in Spanish. So it's like a flat table. So you climb up, and then it's just this long flat part. You could see there are really no trees on the meseta. So we had, it was probably more like 10 days on the meseta, 7 to 10 days, where we're just under the sun and there's no shade at all. Some days it was super windy like that, blowing in our face, and other days there was no wind, but then the sun was just beating on us the whole time. And some of those days were also quite tough physically, especially when we're under the sun the whole time without any shade, which you'll see in a later video. Again, these are challenges. The Camino was a mix, just like anything that's great. In my life, I've noticed anything that's a great experience, a really powerful experience, something that I remember and have deep feelings about, always there's a mix of challenge and fun and excitement, right? Challenge and enjoyment, we could say. So on one hand, it's very enjoyable. The Camino was enjoyable. I loved being out in nature, walking every day. It was great. I loved meeting people. We met so many wonderful people doing the Camino de Santiago. And I'm still emailing some of them now because they're just such wonderful people, and I want to keep that connection. Going through the towns, it was great. Meeting Spanish people was great. I got to listen to Spanish almost every day. You'll see me wearing earphones in many videos because I was listening to Spanish lessons. And I got to chat with Spanish people and eat the Spanish food, and the whole thing was such a wonderful experience, so enjoyable. But with that, there was also a lot of challenge, right? Difficult things. The wind in our face of that whole day was very difficult. Couldn't hear anything. It kind of made you crazy sometimes. The sun beating down very hot. It was difficult some days. Just walking all those kilometers, all of those miles, because we were doing, on our long days, we would do 40 kilometers. Short days, we would do less than that, maybe 30 to 25 kilometers. But every single day with a backpack, that was challenging. That was difficult sometimes. As in the previous videos, sometimes I couldn't sleep because either I just couldn't sleep. I don't know why. My body just would wake up, or my mind would wake up. Or for a while, Joe was snoring a lot. Eventually, we got separate rooms so that I could sleep. But there were challenges like that constantly. But it's overcoming the difficult things and also enjoying the wonderful things. That combination gives you such a wonderful, deep feeling of excitement and pride, and it makes the experience deeper, I think. If it was just all super easy, maybe not as meaningful. Next video. So today, a very, very long day, 36, 37 kilometers, walking under the hot sun with no shade. In fact, most of the day today was just along a long, straight dirt road with basically no shade. And as the day went on, the sun got hotter and hotter. Today, no wind, but it was very, very hot. And it felt a little bit like one of those cowboy movies, in the cowboy movies where they're walking through the desert for hours and hours or days, and they're thirsty, and the sun's beating down on them, and they just keep going, and there's no towns, nothing at all. That's kind of what today was like. But we made it. We finally came to this little town. The town was down in a valley, so we never could see it when we were walking on the road until we finally made it. Whew, long, hot, dusty, tiring day on the Spanish Meseta. Time for a shower, time to get some food, drink some water, and relax. Okay, so again, the Meseta. What's interesting is, the Meseta is a plateau, right? It's you go up to it. So it's not. We had to climb up to the Meseta, then it becomes flat, and then it's just flat for a long time. That's called a plateau in English. And what's interesting is when you're learning English, for example, or learning anything, you will also experience a plateau. What happens is you improve quite quickly at some points. But then after a time of improvement, you'll notice that everything seems to be flat. You will continue studying, continue listening, continue practicing, but nothing seems to be happening. You seem to not be improving at all. You're just going along. And it's kind of like my experience on the Meseta. It can just feel like it goes forever, like this plateau will never end. You're just going forward, going forward, going forward. You keep practicing, you keep practicing. In my case, I kept walking, and it felt endless. And the plateaus can be quite tough. It can be difficult to keep going when you feel like you're never going to arrive at another point of improvement. But the good news is plateaus do eventually end. You just gotta keep going. Next video.
So we are a couple hours outside of Astorga, and I spoke too soon today. We have one final day on the Meseta. Today has been a long, flat day, and in fact we've had no shade. There are a few little bushes and small trees kind of near us, you can see. But the path has no shade at all, as you can also see.
And so you could see that I thought we were almost finished with the plateau. We're almost arrived to the next mountains where we're going to go up again, but nope, still had to keep going. It still continued. And this can happen in your learning too, where those plateaus seem like they will never end. And there's nothing you can do during that time, but just keep practicing, keep listening, continue moving forward. I promise you, eventually the plateau will end and you will start going up again.
Well, it's the same day we have crossed up and over the Cruz de Ferro, the high point, and we've been dropping now for the rest of the day down into this nice valley. Still quite dry here, lots of brush, but again, lots of beautiful colors, wildflowers. Again, just nice to be back in nature. It's a hot day, but a very pleasant day. A little tough on the legs though, because we're going downhill, and we have very, very rocky, tough trails, which I'll show you now.
Okay, so you can see we got up and we went up over this high point, then we had to go back down, and many times going down was more difficult than going up. And especially with those rocky paths, it was very difficult on our knees and our legs going down. But as you can see, the best thing to do when you have a rocky time, a tough time, is to try to enjoy your surroundings. I was noticing the wildflowers, and you just have to enjoy the moment even when it's difficult.
So, we have 7 or 8 days left on the Camino. Today we leave the province of Castilla and Leon, and we will be going into the province of Galicia. For more than half of the day today, we will be walking along this road. But it's not a busy road, and we also have this nice stream next to us on the other side. We're walking through these mountain valleys. Again, we have lots of trees, real trees this time, not the little bushes from the meseta or even yesterday. There's clearly more water here. The trees are bigger. We're definitely in the mountains now. We have a fairly flat walk today for about 2/3 of the day, walking through valleys. Should be beautiful. And quite peaceful. And then at the end of our very long day today, we have the steepest climb of the Camino. Not necessarily the highest point, but the steepest.
So you can see at this point we've gone through some hills again, and then getting ready to go into a very tough big climb, a very tough climb.
Same day. I'm now in the mountains, in the wooded mountains. I think this is the first true forest we've been in since maybe the first week. This is nice. We're not near any kind of highway. This is just a mountain path, a dirt path through the mountains, through the forest. This is now the steep climb that I mentioned earlier. We're climbing up to the town of Ocebrero, or Cebrero, something like that. And then our place is just a little bit farther beyond that. And you can tell by the way I'm breathing, it's quite a steep climb, but it's beautiful. This is what I love. This is my favorite part of hiking, of the Camino, is really being out in the woods, away from all the cars and buildings and people and noise. Just out of nature. Fantastic.
So again, I would point out this great point that this thing, I loved it when we got to Galicia and all the trees and being out in nature walking. At that point, my body was quite tough, and I didn't mind the tough climbing. It really didn't feel that bad. I was breathing heavily in that video, but thoroughly enjoying the experience. And I think that's just good in life in general, to learn how to enjoy those tough, challenging times, because they can be quite enjoyable. So we sometimes get in our mind that it's painful, it's bad, but that was a tough climb. Physically, that was difficult, but at the same time, I loved it. It felt great. I loved the exercise. I was very much enjoying that because my body was quite strong at that point. I was enjoying all the trees. I was enjoying just being out in the quiet of nature. And you too can enjoy the process of learning English. Even during those tough times, it can still be fun. It can still be enjoyable. you can love the experience. And that really is the key to achieving your big goals, your big purpose, your big success. Learning to love the experience, even the difficult parts. All right, next video. This time we're getting up towards the top here. Just gives you a little scene at the top. And then after that, we went up and over the mountains. It got a little more flat again, just little hills. And then we started getting very close to our final point, Santiago. That's a picture of the paths that we walked through. Quite nice, huh?
So today is actually our last day on the Camino. We have decided to push forward and just do a long day on our last day. We're both feeling quite strong. The day's going quickly. You know, we're well trained. Our fitness is very, very good now. We were gonna stay kind of near the airport and then have a short day tomorrow, but we decided the airport probably is an ugly area. So anyway, we're on to Santiago. We will arrive today and I'll do another video when we arrive. So my feelings today about the Camino, sort of reviewing it, really go back to the beginning, because the same things I mentioned and loved in the beginning of the Camino are still what I have enjoyed and still enjoying now. So number one, the simplicity. I just love the simplicity of focusing on, you know, getting up and just waking up and focusing on food, walking each day. None of the complications of city life and all that. I have hardly been online at all, so on the computer or anything, so it's been fantastic. Also, just being outdoors for most of the days.
So I'll stop it there, but there you can see it was my last day. I was feeling very grateful, feeling a little sad actually too that the Camino was going to end. And the point I said, that the thing I still appreciated the most was the simplicity of the Camino, of just getting up every day and walking outdoors, meeting people, just chatting, focusing on food, eating, walking. It was not complicated. And for me, that was just absolutely wonderful. It had a deep purpose, but not complicated, simple, getting back to the basic parts of life. And I think this can apply even to learning English, to keep it simple. This is why when in my book, Effortless English, in the Effortless English system, we try to make the system simple, enjoyable and simple, not a lot of complicated stuff. You're not trying to memorize a lot of complicated grammar. You know, if it's too complicated, you can't actually use it because it gets in your brain, but you can't use it during a real conversation. So you want to keep your learning simple. That's why we focus mostly on listening. Lots and lots and lots of listening, and that listening eventually leads to effortless speaking. It's a very simple but powerful system. And finally, you will arrive at your destination just as I did, arriving here, Santiago. Celebration.
So we made it, we are here. This is the plaza, that is the church, the Cathedral of Santiago. We're going to get our official Compostela, which is like the certificate. We gotta go to the office and show them our little stamps that we got all along the way. So going there now.
All right, and I'll play one more video here. Is it this one here?
So here again in the plaza of Santiago. And that is the Cathedral of Santiago, and now I have my Compostela, which is the official certificate that you walk the Camino. Joe and I both have them now, so officially at an end. It's officially done. Whew, it's quite a feeling of relief and gratitude. It's quite wonderful. I don't know, don't quite know how to state it at the moment. We're gonna meet up with some friends that we've met along the way tonight and celebrate. We'll meet a lot more friends that we've been walking with tomorrow and celebrate again. And then that's all. Bye from Santiago. We made it.
All right, and my final video.
So I'm in the Plaza de Santiago again. This is the next day after we arrived. Today's the 26th of May. And this morning we're going to the Pilgrim's Mass, where they have they might have the big famous giant incense burner that they swing over the crowd. Or maybe not. We've heard they may or may not do it. But anyway, it'll be exciting and fun to see many of the people that we walked with, most of whom are finishing today. In fact, I just saw Julie and Sue, who've been walking with quite a while in a cafe. They just arrived this morning. So I'm so excited to see all these people that we've met and connected with during the Camino.
And I think I'm going to finish there because you could see that my final thoughts on the Camino was really about the people we connected with in this amazing community, because we shared this path with them. We shared this journey with them. We shared the difficulties and the challenges with them. We shared the fun and the good points and the excitement of the Camino with them. And it's the same with your English learning. Just doing it alone in your room or at home is not as meaningful. It's much more meaningful when you share your journey with other people. It's one of the great things about the Effortless English community, which you see on my Twitter page, on my daily Periscope videos, in our VIP member program especially, that there's this special connection between the people, between our members, that we're a family, because we're all sharing this journey together, the journey of certainly of learning English, or in my case, teaching it, but also of just learning all the other things that we learn in the Effortless English community, because we also learn strategies for success. We also learn how to overcome difficult problems in life, and we just create real strong friendships. You know, after the Camino, I met my wife, and then we went to Barcelona, and we had a member meeting there, a VIP member meeting, and we got to meet many of our Effortless English members. We met Mira and Julia and Jean-Jacques and Tatiana and Gonzalo and Juan and just so many wonderful people, Gloria, etc., etc. And this is the super special thing. The thing I love most about Effortless English is that community. And so it's important for you to connect with other people so that you enjoy this journey of English. This because there are challenges, there's tough points, and there's also excitement and great things about it. And it's all more meaningful when you share that journey with other people. So please connect. Get on my Twitter and connect with our other members and make new friendships. If you join our VIP program, then don't just join and be silent. Join and write on our VIP blog, and again, write on Twitter, write on the Facebook page, whatever. And if you can, come to a live Effortless English meeting so you can meet face to face, because it really makes the experience so much deeper. And this was certainly the case for me with the Camino de Santiago. These wonderful people that we met made the experience so much deeper, so much more meaningful. It was a life-changing experience for me, one of the best experiences of my life. I loved it. I'm going to end the show here today with that. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. And go to effortlessenglishclub.com for more information about Effortless English courses or to join our community. Okay? See you soon. Bye.